Hello and welcome. Out comes the dreaded smartphone again, but I have your comments to talk about on there. I think lots of bits of paper wouldn't be practical in this environment. Also, I'd have to write them out. Okay, the first comment, moving straight on, is wondering, not wandering. I'm supposed to be wandering, that's with an A, wandering, around Sri Lanka. But it continues to rain very heavily every evening, more or less precisely at 5 o'clock, and thunderstorms throughout the night, which is very pleasant when you're in the comfort of your shelter. So I'm not complaining, but it's not practical for charaka, that is the sort of wandering practice of a monk where you go from place to place. That will come later. In the meantime, I'm secure in my little shelter I have across the road, behind me somewhere there, for the time being, and will continue with my practice like this, in this place. It's quite an active day. My routine is such that on awaking at 3, I have a good few hours to meditate before chanting at 6. And let me deal with the first question. Somebody has asked me what is the chanting I'm doing in the morning. Well, actually, that isn't so much the chanting that you may have become used to as I was chanting in India. When I was chanting in India, I was combining Indian version of chanting with Thailand version of chanting, and now I'm in Sri Lanka. So I'm actually only chanting a very small excerpt of the chanting they do here in Sri Lanka. The lay people chant firstly Tisadana and Panchasila, that is refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then their 5 precepts, followed by homage to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. That's the Itipiso Bhagava and the other 2 verses, Swagato Bhagavato Dhammo, and then Supatipanno Bhagavato for the Sangha, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And then they chant their puja part, which is offering firstly homage, or paying homage to relics, dhatu, or symbolized ideas of their religion, the faith. Vandami chediyam sabam sabatan netsyupatititam is how it begins. And this is actually what we chant when we're walking around circumambulating a stupa, or if we have relics before us. Now, I'm chanting that in accordance with their practice here, because I like to get the feel, the atmosphere of where I'm living by joining in with some of their cultural variations on a common theme. Now, I'm not one to really do much in the way of devotional practice as far as chedis and relics are concerned, but I do have relics hanging to the left of my Buddha Rupa there, as you look at the screen, in a little file thing they call an amulet that people often hang around their necks in Thailand. These are the bones or the crystal remains of a very old monk, Thai Forest Master. I don't even know the monk's name, but they're encased in a little vial inside this Buddha Rupa amulet. So I'm not chanting to thin air. And somewhere in the distance behind where I live, the following verse is Yasamuli Nasinowa, which is chanting to the Bodhi tree, a Bodhi tree, which is the tree, the papal tree or a fig tree, to give it its genre, under which the Buddha became enlightened and is currently, or that was in Bodh Gaya. Its the original tree, a cutting, was taken and brought here to Sri Lanka. That tree in India died, and it's subsequently been replaced by a cutting brought from Sri Lanka back to India. So they're all of the same family or lineage, if you like, these trees. But anyway, what does it matter? The Bodhi tree is just some tree that signifies enlightenment. So we're paying homage to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, to the Chedi, to Dhatu, that is, Dhatu is relics. We are paying homage to a tree, not because we're worshipping a tree, but we're respecting the idea of the Buddha's enlightenment, and that we can all become enlightened. I'm under the shade of whatever trees these are, and I couldn't just sit here in the sun and meditate, but I can sit here all afternoon and meditate, as I do. And it is a very peaceful place. There's the sound of the sea, there's the breeze, the air, to keep me cool and keep the insects and bugs away. If I'm sitting in my kuti, then really you do need to have a fan on, because there's quite a few flies. I'm quite used to mosquitoes, but ordinary flies that we have in every country, it seems, throughout the world, they really are quite irritating, aren't they? Because they just keep landing on you and all over the place. They don't sting or bite, but you need a fan on to keep those. They're in abundance around these sort of places and everywhere, really. And it's quite warm, and there's the traffic noise. So this is a very nice spot to sit and meditate, and it's under a tree. So this is what we're paying homage to there. And then there are a few more verses which are just part of a puja, if you like, which is offerings. And you can read into this as you wish, what you like. Take it or leave it. It's optional extras. This is offering incense, offering flowers, offering... Firstly, it's offering light, which is candles, and I do that. Secondly, it's offering incense, which I do also, because I like incense and I like the candlelight. And thirdly, it's offering... It's flowers is the fourth one. I'm sure there's a fifth, but I can't think what it is. So the extra 3 or 4 verses are those offerings, and that's all I chant. I then sit and meditate for 15 minutes, turn around, and I just chant you our usual blessings. The first blessings, I shouldn't say usual, because these are important. These aren't blessing you for your protection. These aren't prayers. These are me sharing with you my wishes for you, my wishes of your being happy and staying well, my wishes for you to have a healthy, long life, to have what you need, and to be happy. Sharing my wishes for my own being with you as my wishes for you also. These are blessings. They're not, if I bless you, this will happen. You will pass your exams. Your illness will go away. But you are in my thoughts, and I'm sharing it with you. Sabityo vivajantu saparoko vinyasatu, that you may be well, and all of the support that you get around you remains with you. If not, it will come to you. And this is supported by our faith in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Our confidence in the Buddha as a teacher, the Dharma, his teachings, and the Sangha, the body of monks, the lineage of monks and nuns who have followed in his footsteps to become free from suffering in their lifetimes in their own right. Not to become Buddhas, but to become enlightened, to become arahants, and there have been many since the time of the Buddha. And we look to those people, those Arya Sangha, the noble Sangha, as examples of a way to live. So this is the point of my chanting in the morning. Now, what you're not finding in your chanting book is those final bits that are usually attributed to just Sri Lanka, unless you have an India chanting book, whom also use those chants. But if you're using my usual chanting book, which is the Thai chanting book, they have a much longer preamble to the Buddha Dharma Sangha homage. They have then some other aspects which they include, and then usually that's for the morning, and then in the evening they will chant one of the cardinal suttas, as they would also do here in Sri Lanka, and they do so in the morning. You can hear in the background the nearby temple piping it out on those cone kind of external loudspeakers very loudly, because it's quite some distance. You can hear it quite clearly in my room, the chanting. It isn't monks. There's only one monk lives there. They have some recorded live broadcast maybe. It has this dingly ding ding theme tune at the end of it that comes on at around 6:20 when I'm meditating, which is interesting. But they will chant one of the suttas, the cardinal suttas, so the Mangala Sutta, the Ratana Sutta, or Jayamangala, any of the suttas. Sometimes on certain days the whole Dhammacakka Sutta will be chanted. So these are the teachings of the Buddha. In Thailand, I was chanting more reflections as well as a sutta. But here I'm leaving out the reflections and leaving out the suttas just for time constraints. That's being done all over the place anyway, and you can do that yourselves. You can read these chants as a good way of reading a summarized form of the full suttas, and you can learn them as a useful way of understanding the suttas and as a good discipline, as we have to. And you can chant them to help calm your mind. But they're not hymns, they're not prayers, they are reflections, or they are the teachings of the Buddha. But I'm not including those in the morning, so there's not time. You'll see the chanting I'm doing currently in the morning is less than 10 minutes. It's just paying my respects and homage to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It is then I was going to say the usual offices, but that's rather a Catholic thing. But it's the traditional here in Sri Lanka offering of incense, light and flowers to the shrine, and take that as you wish, as you like. It's quite a nice mindful exercise to do, and we do that in India also. In fact, it's quite a bit longer in India. They add some extra verses. I also include in my morning chanting after that the sharing of merits. So all of our goodness we are sharing with others. Now I think I've just recently spoken about that. If not, please ask the question, does that mean? How does that work? And I will explain it. It isn't that we're giving something we have. Again, it's not a prayer or a good luck charm. It is really sharing with those that we're departed from, or that we cannot be with, or have died, the goodness we're doing in terms of our intention. It's reinforcing our good work, good karma, both in our own minds by sharing the benefits of that good karma with others. It's another way of giving, and that chant is also included. Imina punya kamena, the last little bit that you'll hear me chanting before the meditation. So that's, I don't know where you can find that. Maybe Google chants in Sri Lanka or Sri Lankan chanting. I don't have a link for a chanting book of that nature, because I've got it in my monk's manual. This is where I get it from, so I can't share that one with you, I don't think. Any advice? Oh, I picked a difficult one here. I'll try and answer it in a rather simpler way than is my tendency. Any advice on how to accept and love one's current self, especially when having strong tendency to be hard on oneself? Well, don't. I'm sorry if that's an obtuse answer or a facetious answer. You don't need to accept or love oneself. This whole practice is about really understanding that all this self we see as our self is a result of the causes and conditions we have put in place. So if you don't like what you're experiencing, what you're seeing as this, you're being yourself, change the causes and conditions that you are putting in place that create that self. So keep the precepts, 5 precepts: no killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying or taking of intoxicants, and practice meditation. And then that self that you are being hard on, you don't try and be hard on a self. It's like being hard on an opinion. It's like saying, I have an opinion of that tree, I like that tree. and then trying to be hard on that opinion. A self is just an opinion. It's a momentary thing. It doesn't last. It's impermanent. It's unsatisfactory. It's not self. It's out of your control. It's just a physical body. Now, of course, actions and things you've done in the past, you may be referring to, which you believe are what make up this self. Now, of course, they are the causes and conditions you've put in place to create what you see as yourself right now. But what is important is the causes and conditions you're putting in place for now, in this moment, for the future. Because you cannot change what you've done in the past. This has gone and cannot be altered. So what you're left with is the results of that. But the results of that will change from what you do henceforth, from now on. So you keep precepts, you practice meditation. This will develop wisdom. You will develop wholesome mind states and reduce unwholesome mind states. And you'll become a more content, a happier person. And you will not have to learn to love yourself or like yourself or despise yourself. You'll have no real opinion of yourself, because you will have developed the wisdom to understand that what you perceive to be yourself is nothing more than a result of these causes and conditions. Especially having a strong tendency to be hard. So you're not hard on oneself. You can't be hard on oneself. I know what you mean. I do this wrong all the time, telling yourself off quietly in the background, nagging. Just don't do those things anymore. Move on. If they're habitual tendencies, habits you have to give up, that takes some work. It's an effort. It's difficult, I know. You just have to, this is where we have to have determination and energy. Adhitthana, determination; vidya, energy. These are parami, these are qualities, very, very powerful qualities that we develop over many lifetimes, or if you are of that persuasion, within this lifetime. It's very difficult to develop all of these 10 qualities of generosity, truthfulness, determination, renunciation, mindfulness, concentrate, all of these very essential qualities that we have to become arahants, to become enlightened, and form part of those 7 factors of enlightenment, are difficult to develop. This isn't easy. You're having to let go of our habitual tendencies that we weren't born with, apart from perhaps born with the tendencies within our citta from previous lifetimes, but we have inherited through education. We have been taught that we must acquire knowledge, we must acquire materialistic things as well as values to feel successful. We're no one without a qualification hanging on the wall, some letters after our name and a certain amount of money in the bank. Well, that's absolute twaddle, because there are arahant monks, fully enlightened beings going back millennia, whom have had no quality, some who have not even been able to read and have had no assets whatsoever, but have attained to enlightenment. And that is what we're understanding in this practice, that everything else is just conventional, not reality, not conventional reality, convention, conditioned aspects of samsara, and really an exaggeration of these habitual tendencies that we have. I've got a very cute little, I don't know what they call them here, a lizard, but it's got the longer arms. It's listening so attentively to what I'm saying. It's joining you. It is my audience. This one, it could be as if it was, I don't know, computer graphically superimposed onto that log next to the camera. I wish I had a little button that I could make the camera go zzz round, although that might disturb it. It's just got its little hand and gone like this. It's so sweet. Now, one of the next questions, I haven't even looked, but it's just reminded me of this, is about metta. What is metta? That is metta, yes. If you want a simple explanation, the loving kindness you have for all beings. Such a sweet little creature like that. I mean, some might not find a reptilian animal particularly sweet, but I see its nature, its calmness, its peace, its serenity, its tranquility. I can see the enlightenment in that little being that's just sitting there to my right on that log, listening so attentively. And when you can see that nature in all beings, this is metta, this is loving kindness. It isn't over-exuding love and kindness in a flowery kind of poetic way. Oh, I love everyone, peace to the world. No, it is that genuine feeling. And this isn't something we do, it is a quality we develop. You do then go on to ask, let me just get to your question on that. I know it's the red dot. Yes, a few more questions about metta, so I'll continue on that. So what is metta? And what is not metta? There isn't a not metta. I think you asked the questions about right mindfulness and wrong mindfulness. There's not a wrong mindfulness. It's how we apply these qualities. These are qualities, so they're not right or wrong. They are a quality. So it's like saying you have the ability to learn languages quickly, and this is a quality you have. Now, there's no rightness or wrongness about that. You just have that quality. And this is like with metta. So I can't say what is not metta. You could say, well, it's hatred, as in greed, hatred and delusion. But it's not quite like that. It's not quite the opposite. Although the best way to eradicate hatred as one of those root defilements is through the practice of metta. And when I say the practice of metta, the practice of developing the quality of metta. I always like to add those few words in between, because practicing metta, just sitting there saying metta to everybody sitting next to me, metta sitting everybody in the town, everyone in the country, everyone on the continent, everyone in the hemisphere, everyone in the world, everyone in the universe, by rote is just saying words. Feeling for all beings, even an ant or a spider. That spider's hungry, it's looking for food. I know how it feels. And then you're combining compassion with metta. And when you see a happy little creature like this, you can have mudita, joy for others. I have immense joy that this little creature can sit this closely to me. It's moving closer with its little hands now, looking at me with its big happy eyes and face, and it's really taking in everything, paying close attention to me. He was surely one of my brothers in a previous life as a monk. He was part of my sangha. He must have done something a little bit naughty to be as he is now, but you know, we all do things like that. He'll enjoy this life, he'll eat some mosquitoes and flies and create a little more bad karma, but that's going to bring me on to this next very difficult question, so I'll leave that part for now and just finish with your metta questions, if I can do that. How to not understand metta wrongly. I don't know what you mean by that. And then you go to explain that in European countries' language it's referred to as loving kindness in some vague and mystical way. No. Nothing vague and mystical about it. If you really struggle, I struggled with metta. Yes, I'm of an aversion type, if we have types, and I think we do. We have greed, hatred, delusion. And we can have a type, a personality type. I've already given a talk about those personality types, but you can probably place yourself in one of those categories. A greedy person who wants a lot. I was, I think, a bit of that, and not so much hatred, but, oh, I don't like that person, or I don't like doing this, oh, I don't want to do this, I don't like that. That kind of, as in hatred. Then there's delusion, which is more ignorance of, well, I don't even care. It's not unintellectual. You can have delusion and be very, very knowledgeable. It's not applying it practically, the knowledge you have. It's like learning the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, but not practicing it at all. It's like reading the menu, but not ordering. It's like looking or smelling the soup and not drinking it. We need to really experience it. So you can place yourself in a category. If you're of an aversive type and in that hatred type, then practicing metta will help. Now, I found a way to do this in an environment surrounded by people whom didn't get on with very, very comfortably because of the cultural differences and the very different way of understanding religion in general. Not because they were of a different religion, but in the very aggressive way they forced religion or pushed or practiced. It's hard to explain. Very loud and aggressive practice, put it that way, which I saw all as very contrary to the Buddha's teachings. And I'm not speaking of anything specifically here, but being around people like that and not very many people to talk to at the time, I found a lot of comfort in talking to the animals and speaking to cows and chickens and cats and dogs, which I wasn't normally it wasn't something I ordinarily did in previous places where I'd lived, but that habit certainly helped. So if you're really struggling to understand metta, go and find yourself a stray kitten or a pet or a dog or a little lovable little creature like this that you think I'm talking to something imaginary maybe, and you'll feel metta. That's what metta is. In the Karaniya Metta Sutta, it explains it very well. So you have the chanting book. You're the same person who asked that question. Read the Karaniya Metta Sutta in your language, English, I think. It explains what metta is. That's what it is. It is the teachings of the Buddha on metta. So that's the point of this chanting. So that's kind of wrapped up a couple of questions in one there and brings me on to this complicated question about this little fellow eating the mosquitoes, the flies, because this is his diet. He has to eat. He's an animal. This is why we don't want to be reborn into the animal realm. And your question is, you have wondered about the karma of a cat. Well, yes. Haven't we all? I mean, I have, certainly. I mean, I have this cat now. It's not my cat, but it seems to spend a lot more time with me than wherever it's supposed to live. It doesn't eat a great deal. I feed it. It doesn't eat a great deal, so I guess it must go out hunting at night also. We're not to wonder of other people's karma. There's no point. It's very difficult to deal with our own karma. This is all we should be wondering about. We don't kill. We cannot kill our own food, and we don't kill other creatures, any living beings, to feed to others. But if there's some meat and you have a cat and I'm offered fish, chicken, all kinds of meat in my pindapad every day, so I open a parcel, because I only need one, which will have rice, dal, vegetables and some kind of dried fish in a sort of sauce in there, for example. That's generally what's in these packets, and I put it all in my bowl, unwrap it, put it in the pindapad, because they offer everything wrapped up here. They're not used to just putting the loose food in the bowl. That's just rice generally in Thailand anyway, so the rest of it's packaged up. Anyway, I unwrap it and then I pick out all of the fish part or the chicken part, and I put it on a little dish for Balala, the cat, who's pregnant and has little baby cats inside her to feed as well as herself, because I'm not killing that fish, so you're not creating any bad karma by doing that. And the cat isn't creating any bad karma by eating it. So that's a simple explanation to your answer. But it's going to create bad karma at night if it goes out and kills mice to eat. It cannot help doing that. And this is the nature of being born in the animal realm, animal kingdom, and why it takes so long to get out of it. What you did say was that you could help the cat's karma by feeding it protein supplements or soy food or something like that. And a cat, say, living in a monastery may have the benefit of that, but that is, you say you're being too religious. It's not that. That's taking it to, it's not necessary. If the meat is already dead, it's dead. It can go to good use. It can be used to feed me. I don't have to be a vegetarian because I'm a Buddhist. I choose to be a vegetarian. So we can eat meat that's already dead, as long as it's not specifically killed for that purpose to feed us. If it's already dead, it's there. Now, I appreciate all of the other arguments of contributing to the industry and so on and so forth. This is why I'm a vegetarian, so please don't send a barrage of comments, because I don't eat meat. In fact, I'm vegan. Although I did eat an egg this morning. There was a hard-boiled egg in this package. I picked the fish out and I thought, well, you know, it's there now. I won't waste it, and I don't think cats like it, so I ate it. It was perfectly fine. Karma of a cat. One of the achintya, I think is the way you say it, achintya, imponderables, unanswerable questions, the Buddha called them. There are 4. The origins of the cosmos, the mechanics, if you like, of karma, the full knowledge of a Buddha. I've forgotten the 4th one, but there are 4 imponderables, basically questions you shouldn't waste your time trying to answer, because you will not see the answer within this lifetime. The Buddha had seen these answers, having lived through countless lifetimes which he could recall. So whether you believe that or not, it doesn't matter. You cannot recall, even if you believe, yet all of your former lifetimes, and therefore cannot go back to the origins of the universe, so don't try. There's no point. Even science hasn't got there, and probably won't within your lifetime. And also, what will it answer? The origins of this universe. What about what became before that? And what about what comes after this? Unanswerable. Don't waste your time on it. But don't worry also about buying expensive food that's produced, protein special food, that's produced probably at the to the detriment of something in this planet, to produce something that's not killing animals, but just to feed a cat, when it's not going to affect the cat's karma either way what it eats, if it's just given to the cat. I hope that's answered that okay. Oh, I've done that one, that's good. Hello, sincerely. Yoga has the same goal as Dharma, which is liberation. Can one practice one with another? And how to learn the Noble Path properly? Thank you. Okay, yoga has many different meanings and understandings. My only understanding of yoga is this physical practice of yoga, the thing that's come to the West that perhaps mainly ladies do in leotards in some centre somewhere, putting themselves in all kinds of positions, something like this. But then there's Hatha yoga and all kinds of Kriya yoga, all these different yogic which are attributed to the Hindu religions or other religions, Brahmic religions of India, that I do not know anything about. The Dharma is the teacher, in my context of what I'm talking about, is the teachings of the Buddha. Can you do the same? Well, I don't know what yoga is. You could do those exercises if you felt that one inclined. It's not going to affect your understanding of the teachings of the Buddha, the Dharma. As far as how to learn the Noble Path properly, then you can listen to these Dharma talks, other Dharma talks. You can read the teachings of the Buddha in the Sutta Pitaka, the middle-length discourses, the longer discourses, the shorter discourses, the connected discourses, the numerical discourses, all of the words written down nowadays in any language you like, more or less, in your mother tongue. Read the suttas. These are the teachings of the Buddha. That's how you learn the full extent of the teachings of the Buddha. Or just Google Noble Eightfold Path. Wikipedia will explain to you right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, in a very concise and informative way. It isn't learning it, it is practicing it that's important. It's practicing sila, keeping moral virtue, which is most of that Noble Eightfold Path. Not breaking those 5 precepts I've already mentioned once in this talk at the beginning. practicing meditation, and developing wisdom. Developing wisdom in terms of the Noble Eightfold Path is right view. Understanding anicca, that everything is impermanent. Understanding dukkha, that all things are unsatisfactory. And understanding anatta, that we are not self, ourselves, as we have also spoken about already in this talk. This is the Noble Eightfold Path. You're asking about how to learn the Noble Eightfold Path. If you just want to learn the words, that's it. I've just said it. Right view, right intention, right speech, right livelihood, right action, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. That's the words. You can learn it in any language you like, in Pali. No use. Practice it. That is very useful. That will change your life. Now, if you want to encompass this, incorporate this within whatever your yogic practice is, as long as there's nothing contrary in that to what is in the Noble Eightfold Path, then say it says in your yogic practice you should be worshipping Shiva and Rama or something, and offering them bananas and coconut milk and pineapples each morning, pouring milk over an effigy in order to have liberation, then that is completely contrary to the Noble Eightfold Path and a waste of time. So you'd be better off sitting doing nothing, just meditating. Now, I'm not saying that that practice in itself is a waste of time, but it's a practice in itself, nothing to do with Buddha Dharma, which is what I'm talking about. So if it's just sitting in the lotus position, then it's a jolly good thing to practice, yes, because you can then learn to sit in a good way to meditate comfortably. And that gets me, these are working so well in terms of segueing, because that gets me onto another question. I can't find the question, but I can remember it. You'll go, yes, I'm very happy. You've just talked, one of my regular commenters and subscribers is going on a Goenka course. I guess you're in England, and you've been to the monastery there also, I think, if I remember rightly. You're going on a 10-day Vipassana Goenka style meditation course, which is a wonderful way to practice meditation. It is really concentrating on the samadhi aspect of sila, samadhi, panya, but it is also developing the whole of the Noble Eightfold Path, because it is very much directed in that vein. You're keeping 8 precepts, you're not eating in the afternoon, and it's a very intensive program of meditation. You're asking me about, did I do yoga and stuff before in order to be able to sit in the lotus position? Well, the answer is no, I didn't. I just had to suffer. I went to Thailand, that's the way they sat. I had to sit firstly in the Burmese position. As you said, there is a video detailing it step by step. Just gradually get used to it, and your joints, I was in my 40s when I started this, so your joints will slowly become more supple, and you'll eventually find this is the most comfortable way to sit anytime, let alone when you're meditating. But before this course you're going on, don't try to get used to sitting like that. They will allow you to sit in a way that is comfortable for you, in order that you can concentrate on your meditation. So use that valuable 10 days to concentrate on your meditation, not how you're sitting. Wait until after the course, or even before, but leading up to it, but leave it for the course time, and after the course then you can work on your body and getting it used to how you sit for meditation. But if you need a little cushion or a stool, or even sitting on a chair for meditation, that's perfectly fine, and I think, if I'm right, usually that is acceptable on these Goenka courses for enabling you to practice the meditation. That's the important thing to concentrate on there. Not how you're sitting, not what you look like, not whether it would be okay in Thailand or anything like that. It doesn't matter. Now, I went in at the deep end into a monastery in Thailand where they all sat on a concrete floor, no mats even really, just a thin cloth. So that was what I had to get used to, and I had to get used to it very quickly, otherwise my life was going to be terrible. So that's what I've had to do with many things. It's not the best approach, but I've gone a fast track way. If you remember my little analogy of going up the mountain, there's walking all the way around it like this, nice and safely. Or there's ziggity-zaggadying up like this, the medium path, which is the path we should follow. Or you could go straight up in a line like that. But if you fall off, there's a long way to fall, and you've got to start from the beginning. The ziggity-zaggity path, you only fall a little way and you continue back to the top. Or you can go the nice slow way, but you'll get there eventually. So sometimes I've gone straight up a little bit, and I've been lucky. I put that down to practice in previous lifetimes, because in this lifetime I've had very little practice. He's coming closer, so maybe he'll join me over here soon, my little friend, that is. How much sleep do you get? That's a random question. Well, I wake up at 3. I go to sleep probably here about 10 or 11. 4 hours, 5 hours, 4 or 5 hours. I mean, I could sleep all day if I want. I can have as much sleep as I like. So there's no fixed routine other than my own routine I've got used to in monasteries, but continued throughout wherever I've been, in and out of monasteries. So after waking at 3, I have 3 hours to meditate. 6 o'clock is the chanting. Then I go on at 6:30, 6:45, I go on Pindapat. I'm usually home or back to my kuti by 8:30, 8:15, something like that. I eat at 9, having sorted the food out, distributed it, because there's much more than I need. Then after eating and letting that, sometimes people come and see me around that time too, so there might be a little bit of a Dharma talk going on, or an exchange of, they're bringing Dharma, exchange of comments, questions like this. Then I come down here and do this at about this time, which is I think around 11 or 12. Then in the afternoon I could rest then if I wanted to, but I tend not to. I'll usually then practice more meditation, walking meditation, sitting meditation, alternating. When I'm walking meditation, I don't have a walking path yet here. I would probably just actually walk somewhere. Actually, there's plenty of places I can walk that aren't in public places around here. Even along this beach, there's really no one around other than staff looking after the beach. So that's not meditation, that's not walking meditation, but I might just walk because it's just nice to walk. Nothing wrong with doing things that are nice and conducive to a calm state of mind. So yeah, sleep about, in answer to your question, sleep about 5 hours, 6 hours, that's plenty. 6 hours will be more than enough for me. And I'm eating. And finally, on cats, I'll bring it to a close after this question, although I don't want to disturb my little friend when I get up. Someone very kindly asking after the cat, any news on the situation with the cat? Is it in the family way? Well, I think it's in the family way for sure. She's definitely having babies, kittens. Oh, there he goes, the little lizard thing. And I think they're due any day. I thought last night, maybe tonight. She's been disappearing a little bit more, so maybe she's found somewhere else to have her babies, perhaps where she's supposed to live, and just spending the rest of the time with me. Or maybe she'll come to my place to have them. I don't know. I have had that before. I had it when I was staying a place in India, a cat giving birth to many kittens. In fact, I was there for so long, its children gave birth to many kittens. So you imagine how many kittens were running around the place. Not my place, but various neighbours in close proximity. So this is happening any day. She's looking well. She eats her bits of fish and chicken I give her, and I also give her the yogurts I get given. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but they give you these lovely delicious yogurts, but I don't really eat dairy things, yogurts, and Balala loves them because you just peel the lid off and she eats them out of the little plastic container and licks it quite clean, gets her little paws in. So she has those and some chickens. I tried to give her a little bit of rice, but she doesn't eat that, or vegetables. So she has some yogurt, she has some, and also I've got a little, for her today, a little packet, like a plastic bag of milk, some milkshake drink. I think it's probably chocolate flavour, but I don't drink that. I've saved that for her to have this afternoon also. And there are also these funny little, I don't know what they are, biscuits, which are quite savoury, which I sometimes, if I have them, keep a couple of those. Well, I usually get only offered a couple, but I keep them because she seems to like those. So if she comes in the evening, wowing, I break a bit of that off and give her, well, she'll eat the whole thing. So I break it up though, because they're quite hard, and she eats those. So she's doing well, thank you for asking. And I find her very good company, much like this creature. They're very independent and undemanding cats, and you can feel that quality of metta when you have a friend of this nature. And metta isn't attachment, it isn't like romantic love, it isn't this kind of thing. Or even this attachment or love people have for pets that can be very clinging. As you've seen, actually, I've gone through many pets in my travels because I've had to leave or they've left or died. So one enjoys the company at the time. This is true metta because it is a quality you have built within yourself. It isn't just a thing, an exchange between two beings. There is that. That's the bonus. The being experiences the quality of your metta you have. As you can smell a flower, the being experiences metta. The flower isn't giving you its perfume, you're experiencing its perfume. You're not giving the metta, all beings will experience the metta, as you will theirs in exchange. Please enjoy. Hopefully there's something useful there. If there is, please use it. If not, just let it go. Thank you for watching. Until next time. Yes. Whoa. I've fallen down a hole there. I've sunk in the sand where it's damp from the rains.